I was just about to text you, Rhonda, to say, hey, and good to see you in both sessions.
Yeah, I was sad that I came into the SASLA late. It sounded like it was fantastic. I got about 45 minutes of it.
These are being recorded, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
For sure shareable later. And I think Melissa and I have talked about wanting to share this for reasons you guys will learn as we go through it.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, everyone.
Like your background.
Oh, do you know what this is from? Does anyone know what this is from?
No. Tell us.
I'll move out of the way. Does that help?
I put away every box in my room organized.
So this is it's a truly evil episode of Black Mirror.
Oh, that's one I haven't watched.
It's I think called 10 Million Credits, and it's about living in a virtual space with, and this is the background.
Very good.
In that space.
I feel like Jeff's back screens are always a quiz. What television or movie is this? No.
A few minutes ago, actually, Angela and my cat were in the background. So.
Okay, cat. We'll just give a couple more minutes here to get some folks in, and then we'll get started. Okay. Melissa, shall we get started?
Sure.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is George Kors. I work in the library as the reference coordinator, where I staff our research assistance desk and do all sorts of research teaching and writing classes and elsewhere. Also sort of the point person for some Zotero stuff and all kinds of your research needs. Likewise, I teach in the writing studies department as well. So I also teach Writing 100, Writing 101, various other iterations of those wonderful courses as well. And presenting today with me is Melissa Becker.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Becker. I am one of the research librarians in the library. I do research assistance. I do information literacy instruction. I am paired with many college writing professors over the years.
And that's pretty much what I do too.
And we are, today we're talking about Credo Instruct and how that is important to all of us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody. Let's see, I'm going to admit some people here real quick. And I'm just going to go ahead and share the whole screen. And you guys can see now this presentation. I'm just going to do some quick slides. Credo Instruct, what we want to start off with is why this is important. This is a new thing to add to our toolbox, and I think, to my mind, it is a very important toolkit for us to have. It's something that we can rely on in a lot of different ways, and I think over the course of this presentation, Melissa and I will make clear how robust this tool is. It is available in our databases list. So this is not a database like we tend to think of databases in the sense of finding journal articles or different kinds of research items. It is a database, however, in the sense of it is a lot of resources that we can use and embed in our teaching. So I'm going to show you how to get to there later, but for those of you who recognize our A to Z list, you'll see Credo Instruct is here in that list. Now, why is Credo important to us? Well, for a lot of reasons. First, it is huge, contains all kinds of material, and all of that material, for the most part, has been customized to AU specifically. Myself, Melissa, and some other librarians have spent time over the summer going through all of these modules that you're going to see today, as well as other modules, and customizing them to American University. That includes interlinking to American University library resources. That includes directing you to places like the Writing Center on some of them. So in that sense, it is personalized to us. Likewise, it is available to meet the needs of a lot of different learning styles. We have videos, text, quizzes, all different kinds of things, even some graphics, some drag and drops that will allow you, if you notice, my students really gravitate towards video, that is something that is achievable with this tool. It's not just blocks of text. That said, those two things in mind, this matches very nicely with our department-wide learning goals for the Writing 100 and Writing 101 courses. So for those of you who are, have taught these classes many times, or those of you who are brand new, when we look at those department-wide learning goals that we have regarding information literacy, a lot of these items fit in extremely nicely with that. All right, and they're actually tailored towards some of that. Expanding on that, on sort of more of a, I guess, abstracted level, they also match very nicely with our ACRL frames. So for those of you who work with us in the information literacy group that is librarians and writing professors, you'll know that we rely on the ACRL framework for a lot of our sort of research underpinnings, I guess, is what I would say when it comes to developing those learning goals for writing assignments and how we sort of employ research in those assignments. Another thing that I will say, and looking to the future, and this is just sort of a word of warning for everybody, this is in the long term going to replace our current information literacy tutorial that AU currently has. Now, I know a lot of you guys use that item. It's a very popular item. It has been, I have updated it in the past to reflect changes in our user interface. For example, when we updated to Primo, it was updated. But unfortunately, that item is going to go away, and it is eventually going to be supplanted with Credo Instruct. Now, I'm just going to show you guys here real quick how to get to Credo and sort of how to do some access points there. So you'll see I'm here at the library website. And if I'm at the library website, all I have to do is click on Search Databases. This is going to take us to that A to Z list. When I do that, and I head to the A to Z list, I'm going to go ahead and click on the C's, obviously alphabetical, and I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to Credo. You'll see it's right here. All right. When I'm opening this up, you're going to see Credo is going to give you a ton of options. There's all kinds of material in here. I really strongly encourage you guys to go through it. You'll see there are all these sections, and then when I open up a section, there are all kinds of subsections. All right. And one thing that Melissa is going to show us later is how to embed these subsections in our Blackboard or Canvas suite. You know, a lot of these, you can refer your students to it directly. You can refer your students to it and have them complete the entirety of the thing. I think it is a great idea to go ahead and embed that for various reasons that we'll get into later. But this is also accessible to your students if you just want them to sort of, you know, move around in it and not do anything super formal with it. But that's sort of at your discretion. I have one of these Credo items open. Our Why Information Literacy Matters page. And I just want to show you guys how this page has been customized to meet AU specific goals. You'll notice this particular last paragraph here. American University's library has access to nearly 600 databases. And this link here opens our A to Z list. This is the kind of interlinking that I'm talking about. When you give your students these items, when you embed them in your Blackboard, your Canvas, or you send a link out with an item from Credo, very often it is going to link directly back to those items that are being referred to in the information literacy material. All right. Now, there are some caveats to that. Not all of the videos, for example, are going to have interlinking back, right? They might refer to, you know, your university's writing center or something. There won't be a link within the video. Instead, I've gone ahead in a lot of those and embedded those links in text box just below the video. The reason why we're doing this is because we're all online right now. We want to have as many connection points for you as faculty members, for our students, for any other person or staff member that's using these, for them to all get back to those resources that we're referring to when it comes to research and embedding that kind of research in our writing projects. So I'd like to, before we transition over to Melissa, I'd like to go ahead and show you guys a video from here. And I think, Melissa, which video have we decided on? Was it research process, right? Yes. So I'd like to do a video. That way you guys can sort of see what some of the videos look like. And then I'd also like to run through one of the quizzes with you guys as well to sort of see how that looks before we start embedding these items into our, pardon me, brain fart, into our Blackboard and Canvas online presences. So let's do this pre-search video. One thing that I really love about our Credo tutorials as well is that they come with the script here. That is something that is super accessible and just really helps a lot of students. Sometimes it can be video overload, or you know, for whatever reason, their audio is not working, or there's some accessibility stuff. Having the transcript right there is extremely helpful.
George, the sound doesn't appear to be on for some of the, most of the participants, it looks like.
What's that, Melissa?
The sound doesn't seem to be on.
Let's see. I don't know how.
We can see the video, but we can't hear it.
You can see it, but you can't hear it. I don't know how to do that sharing option.
So you'll have to end sharing your screen and then reshare, and there's a button on the share screen that says share computer audio.
Ah.
Share computer audio. Got it. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, guys. Let me go ahead and, it's a short video. We'll just go ahead and start.
An assignment sheet, a blank doc. Have you wished that you could skip the research step and just start writing? Stop. Wait. The research actually is the point. Your final product brings it all together, but the process of asking questions, exploring sources, analyzing information, and forming conclusions are the heart of any research assignment. A well-written paper always is built on a foundation of strong research. Research introduces you to the facts and ideas that help you crystallize your topic, form thoughtful positions, and provide evidence to support your argument. Think of a research paper like a homemade cake. The final product can't look or taste good without proper ingredients or techniques. A research project can't succeed without a strong research process. The foundation of a successful research process is successful pre-research. Steps to familiarize yourself with your assignment and your focus before you dive into in-depth sources. Begin by understanding your assignment need. Some assignments are open-ended, while others have very specific requirements. Keep these in mind and revisit the assignment description a few times before the project is complete. Next, you may have some initial questions you want to explore, but probably don't have a clear focus yet. This is where background research comes in. You might read encyclopedia articles to get a sense of terminology in the fields and ideas for areas to explore more in depth. For a project on current events, you may scan news articles to familiarize yourself with key people or developments. For a paper in the sciences, you might review table of contents in recent journals to spot topics of relevance and interest. At this early stage, the goal of your research won't be answering questions, but rather raising questions that are interesting to you and building a foundation from which to explore them. Now you have several time-saving tools as you continue your research. You'll be familiar with some broad concepts related to the subject you are researching. This will help you select relevant search terms to use in your library's databases and catalog and make it faster for you to assess whether or not a certain in-depth resource will be useful to you. You'll also have begun asking yourself more specific questions and started honing in on a research focus.
Wonderful. So you guys can see how these videos are pretty short. We know that our students probably aren't super down with a 15-minute video about information literacy. So they're pretty concise, and likewise, they zero in on some very concrete topics that we're referring to in our Writing 100 and 101 courses. Now I want to click on this next one, this checkpoint, just to show you guys how some of these quizzes and things work. So you'll notice we've got this page here asking how have this research assignment prompt, and we've got some questions down below it. When you assign these and you embed these items, you are going to be able to get those grades or get those basically the responses that your students provide here. And that's going to be stuff that you guys can use then in your own assessment. And that can be helpful in a lot of ways for, you know, your own weighted assessment or assessment in coordination with a librarian regarding information literacy materials that you guys are working on. All right. So, you know, our students can go ahead, which of the following assignments is true? We'll just click a couple there. And when they click submit, it is going to give them the answer, right? It's going to go ahead and say, no, this is correct or this is incorrect. And that's going to go ahead and allow you to sort of gauge the understanding, obviously use that in your own assessment and prep for your information literacy materials. Now, I'm going to go back to the course here. You guys may notice that we've got a ton of material in here. You know, each one of these things is super granular. There's all different kinds of quizzes and videos and texts. And when we get in there and we start looking at these quizzes and stuff like that, you may be wondering how you're going to parse through all of that. My recommendation to you is to get in touch with your librarian, with your assigned librarian in the course that you have. We have gone through, and not only have we customized this, we have likewise summarized all of these items. And you can go ahead and tell us what kind of learning goal you have for the information literacy lesson that you're working on. And we can go ahead and match that up to the summaries that we've already done for these items. So a group of librarians, Melissa, myself, and many others, went through all of these items, and we created a summary document. Your librarian can either forward that summary document to you or refer particular things. And likewise, Melissa's going to talk about a guide that we have that's specific for you guys. That's going to be extremely helpful if you're not talking right at that moment with a librarian. So I think that is actually a great chance for us to transition over to Melissa, who's going to talk about this guide that's going to be very helpful for getting you guys involved in using Credo and supplementing your own teaching in your library instruction sessions as well with Credo Instruct.
Okay, thank you, George. I'm going to put the URL for this guide that George mentioned in the chat here, first of all, so you all have it. And then I'm going to transition to sharing my screen so we can take a look at it together. Hold on just a second. Okay. So here it is. This guide, we kind of based it on some suggestions, like a template from Credo. And it has a lot of things that I think will be interesting to you as you start to think about using the Credo modules in your classes. And I'd like to go just through the guide, and then we're going to actually drop a couple of items into a Blackboard and Canvas course and show you how that works. So this page is sort of like, why is information literacy important? You know, I'm sure that everybody, you know, that you all were speaking to the converted here. But let's go to this page, what it can do for you. This gives more of an explanation about what Credo does, and it gives a couple suggestions of how you might use these sessions in your class that I thought was interesting as sort of like a session, as a pre-assignment before your librarian comes in, scaffolding for your course, you know, as a follow-up maybe. So that is helpful. And this next page is what they're calling a starter kit. So it's some suggestions of tutorials that would be maybe useful if you're just getting into this and you're not really sure what would be best to start with. So these are sort of the starter tutorials that they recommend. And these are active links that you can go in and view them and see what you think. These two we're going to cover in a minute, how to embed stuff in our course management system. And we're going to be using this page too to do that. I wanted to show you this. This is all of the links of the stuff that can be embedded in the course management system. I want to point out that on this page, these links are special links that work with course management systems. So if you were to happen to click on one of them, you're going to get an error, and that's expected behavior. But when you copy them and put them in a Blackboard course or a Canvas course, then they work and they integrate with your course management system. We'll get back to this in a minute too. And this last is faculty extras, which has some interesting things that you might want to take a look at. First of all, as George said, the librarians did our own sort of course mapping to Credo, but they do have one here that you can look at. So this is aligning information literacy core to your research assignment. So they have sort of a spreadsheet here where you can figure out, like, for an objective that you have. For example, I want them to apply search strategies. Then it gives you suggestions for the tutorials that you might want to use, and the level that might be, beginner or intermediate. So I think that might be useful. Also, I know we have some AU Core people here today. They do offer some suggestions for aligning information literacy core, and you can kind of take this as information literacy to a program or a curriculum. So I think this is kind of interesting, just as an example maybe of a curriculum map. They're doing it for Gen Ed, and there's English and government in their Gen Ed package, but then also they've taken a couple disciplines like biology and are sort of identifying information literacy skills that might come up in those disciplines. And then, you know, what, of course, they want to make it easy for you to pair that with some of the media in the tutorial. But I think it could just be interesting as a way to look at how one might identify information literacy skills within a program and match them up. So that's another possible thing of interest. This is of interest because they have taken a number of different standards. Like George was mentioning, the Association of College and Research Library Standards, the Acrl Standards, are what you know, we're really familiar with here, but there are some other ones. So if you ever wanted to see, I mean, maybe you have heard, I'm not really sure what ANZIL and SCONAL are, and I'm not that familiar with the ACR visual literacy standards, but if that is interesting to you, then they have sort of these like maps that you can see how their modules like match up with those. Wait a minute, I think, am I in the right one? There's one. I think this one is what I want. View standards mapping spring 2020. Oh yeah, so they have the ACRL framework here and these other standards, and you can kind of see like what the different elements of the framework, like this is research as inquiry here, and then which parts of the tutorial modules match up with that. I think the ones that the AU librarians did are a little easier to read, and we also have some evaluative information. But this is just another sample of that, and then for some of the other standards.
Melissa, I'm not sure that they can see the Excel sheet that you just pulled up. We're still looking at that webpage.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. Could it be just it's in a different?
Yeah, I think if you end your sharing and then just share your total screen instead.
Okay.
That might be.
Let me try that. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, I think it pushed it off into a different screen. So here, let me just see.
There we go.
Is that, you can see, okay. I'm not sure I've done my whole screen, so I might go back when I'm doing this. But see, they have the different frameworks, the different parts of the framework across here. This is research as inquiry here. And then the different parts of the tutorial and like how they map up with each of those. And they have the different, I don't know if anybody's is familiar with some of these other standards, but they do have different ones as well. So you could see like how the modules map up with different standards that are available. Okay, so forgive me, I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. And let me go back here. Okay, is everybody back with me? Okay, all right, good. Okay, and then they have some teaching guides too for the information literacy course. So they're different. So they're like PDF guides. So they're giving some examples of like sort of class sessions and some discussions, possible discussions that could be had, and some activities that can be done around. So there's a lot of, you know, information surrounding the actual modules themselves that you could look at to get ideas perhaps, or look at with your, you know, in discussions with your librarian. You're talking about sort of the objectives you have, and these could help you figure out, you know, what you might want to do. So, you know, they're there for you to look at. I think that some of the information would probably be of interest to take a look at later. So, so let's go back to some of these pages. We have ways to embed. Then we have the instructions here for embedding the Credo modules in Blackboard or Canvas. And I guess I'm wondering how many of you are planning to use Blackboard for the fall? You have like, okay, give me a reaction, or is it mostly Blackboard that you're using? Let me look in the chat here.
Looks like Lacey's saying most writing studies folks are going to Canvas, but we do have some Blackboard folks in here.
So we have Blackboard. I wanted to see like if we're mostly Blackboard on Canvas or Canvas, and I'll do Canvas first if it looks like most of us are using Canvas.
Yeah, it says Lacey's saying 2/3 Canvas, 1/3 Blackboard.
Okay, all right. So let's start with Canvas here. And I have a sandbox Canvas course here that was set up for me. So looking at this, what I would do to integrate a module with my course is I would go to assignments, and then I would add a new assignment. And then here's where I just fill out the assignment name. Let me just say information literacy quiz, maybe description. I'll say, please take this by August 13th, whatever. You can decide on the points. Canvas allows like 5 points or 20 points, or I believe if you put other points, it'll scale. In assignments, display grade as points. You can click this to say you don't want it counted against the final grade. If you leave it unchecked, it puts it in your grade book, and we'll show that in a minute. And this is like the critical part here. It starts on online, like you'll see this, it'll default to online, but you want to change it to external tool. And here is where you put a URL from the guide. So let me go back to the guide here, all the way over here. And I'm just going to select one of these. I'm going to select, I'll do a quiz on thesis statements here. And I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to copy the link location. Right, and then I'm going to take that back and put that right here, paste it into my Blackboard or my Canvas. And you can choose whether to load it in a new tab or not. You can set the attempts. There are other settings that you can have. Assign it to everyone. You can create a due date. And when you're done, you save it, save and publish it. And right now I'm moving you guys around so I can, there we go. So I can access the save there. Okay, so I'm going to save and publish. Okay. And now there's the quiz. It's embedded in my course now. My students can take it. And over here, if I look at the grades, you'll see that it's put it, since I had it as a grade bearing assignment, it has it in my grade book now. And if I had students registered for my class, they would go through and take it, and then I would be able to see their score. So that is Canvas. Now for those doing it in Blackboard, I think, is there a question? I saw the chat come up for a second.
The question in the chat is, can we embed videos directly into modules such as a page?
Directly into different course modules, such as can you tell me a little bit more about
Sure.
that?
So what I'm asking is,
Yeah,
is it possible, because I saw that there's the videos that we can put, like the modules are broken down on Canvas. Like I want to do like today's reading, we're doing this. Can you watch this video beforehand and then just embed it directly into that page without them having to even link out anywhere else if possible? Or should I just put the link? Because I saw on Canvas that you can embed videos directly into what they call a page.
I think so. I haven't tried that, but I think it's possible. There was something about that I saw in some instructions about putting one of the modules like grouped in. I think that maybe be what you're talking about. Maybe let me do a Blackboard embedding, and then maybe we can look for that in the Credo, like on the back side of Credo, and see if we can figure that out, or I could send that to you later. I think there is a way to group it, subdivide it further that I haven't explored yet. Okay. So for Blackboard here's my Blackboard course. It's a similar process. Instead of assignments, we have content. So I go to my content page. I go to build content, and then I choose web link. And then we have sort of similar information. Here's my information literacy quiz. And here's where the URL will go. And then here's the critical part here in Blackboard, is that you say this link is to a tool provider, because that is what tells Blackboard that you're integrating the Credo module with Blackboard. So, and then I can do the same thing as in Canvas. I can enable the evaluation. I can make it visible to students. There's my due date, the description. And when I do all that, then I click on submit. Oh wait, sorry, I have to make possible points here. Okay, I'll do 5. And then we'll click on submit. Okay, so someone already embedded a video in here before, but here's my information literacy quiz. And I'll open that up. And so there's my quiz that the students can take. And then in my grade center, then I have that information literacy quiz here in my gradebook to record the scores. And I took a quiz in Blackboard, and at the end of it, it had like a way to email the instructor to say that the student had completed the quiz. This is something, if those of you have been around with us with the information tutorial over the years, this is something that we wanted to do for years and years with the information literacy tutorial, and never really were able to quite make it work. But now, you know, with these modules, we can do that. So, so that's embedding these materials in a Blackboard course. I think what we wanted to do now is maybe just get some reactions from people, and maybe have a discussion about you know, ways you might use it. And I will try to find the answer to the question that was asked about embedding it directly into a section of a course.
So I used it this summer with a STEP pre-college writing class, and the students all said it was accessible. They liked the interface. They liked the different levels of the tutorials. They liked being able to quiz themselves. So I'm planning to embed it in my Blackboard courses for the fall, especially because I'm trying to use more active learning tools in online teaching.
Hey, Amanda, out of curiosity, question for you. Did you tend to link like a whole unit to them and have them work through that? Or did you kind of break it in smaller pieces? Like how did they kind of respond to either having just a video and a quiz to do, or go do this unit, you know, on this particular issue?
I didn't upload it the way that Melissa explained. In retrospect, I would link to the specific tutorials. I basically had a list and asked them to work through this list. And that's where it got a little tricky because some of them misread the list. So I think linking to the specific tutorials is a better idea. It honestly hadn't occurred to me how to do that.
So this looks totally exciting, I have to say. And I'm curious, as someone who's not teaching in writing studies, but is teaching adjacent, I'm wondering how, whether there are particular units that might be, and this is really for everyone, whether there are particular units that might be covered in writing studies classes that we can reinforce in other classes. I guess that's a general question. But.
You know, it looks like we have questions, but maybe not an answer to that. I know, I don't know, there are some professors in other departments who have used the information literacy tutorial for assignments, and they might want to move over to using Credo instead. Yeah, no, it's new. We're just getting our feet wet with it, and there's a lot to explore with it in terms of information literacy, learning objectives, and assignments.
This is more a statement than a question along these lines. Similar to what Jeff was saying, I'm thinking about what the possible connection can be to the W2 requirement in the AU core based on which of these the W1 faculty might be using. And so that opportunity there for reinforcement, sort of to what Angela was saying in the chat about are particular tutorials useful for sort of refreshers. And so are there, in that same vein, opportunities for W2 faculty to circle back to particular modules from this to sort of revisit and then move forward into their discipline-specific information literacy material?
We have in the chat some discussions about breakout rooms.
Sorry, everyone. I've been having wonderful internet outage issues for the week. It's been beautiful.
A question about Credo, and maybe you covered this. Do you have use statistics that, so in a year, could we sort of see which are the parts of it that faculty are using to certain extents, or which ones are faculty not using? Thinking about this point that Angela was just making in the chat around like figuring out which ones people are using and then sort of surfacing that information for people.
Yes, I believe we have access to the usage stats for sure. And one thing, you know, Bradley, to sort of go off of you and to go off of what Angela was saying here about people who are in non-writing studies courses, let's say somebody gets into a writing 106 and they're not that first semester taking a writing course that has embedded information literacy in it. We're referring folks to Credo via our research chat and our, you know, one-on-one research meetings with folks, you know, frequently as well. And that's not just students that we're referring to it. When we get a faculty member chatting me at the RAD, for example, I do refer them on to that as well. But I believe, Melissa, we were able to look at last year's Credo stats of what was used, right? Credo provides that report to us.
I seem to recall that we were, and they're very supportive. So I feel like if the statistics we're remembering were not exactly what we want, and we asked them, that they would try to provide some information for us. So I think we could probably get that.
Yeah. And one thing, you know, that's a little unrelated to this, but sort of related to statistics, is that they do update this very frequently. And sometimes they'll even retire an item in Credo and replace it And that is sort of based off of their own statistics and their own sort of analysis of what's working, what's not working, and feedback that they get. So yeah, and it looks like Chelsea was able to embed a Credo URL directly into that page that they were referring to there earlier. So that's good to know as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. You were asking about a module, Angela. Is that what you were? I found.
Yeah, what Chelsea is saying, I found that too. It didn't work for me, but I might try a restart or fiddling around with it a little bit more, or asking Chelsea later on.
Well, I found some instructions, optional step 2 for adding a link to a module. So let me see. I'm not sure. I'll figure out how to share this with you.
It was a plus external tool and then cut and paste it and then paste in a URL. That's the one I found. I don't know if that's the same.
Yeah, it's like
it wasn't hard to find.
You choose the module and click on the plus icon in the module, and then in the add item pop-up says select assignment, then select the item you created earlier. Oh. It looks like you add the item as an assignment first, and then you add it to the module according to these. But it looks like there's another method it's talking about Chelsea's method of adding an external tool URL to a module. So it looks like you can do that 2 different ways. Either create the item as an assignment, then add it to a module, or embed it directly into the module.
And one thing we would say as well in this, and this goes for, you know, when you yourself are embedding and using Credo, or you hear of a colleague that's using it, and if they're having any issues with that, please do be in touch with us. That, you know, we want to get all of that sort of feedback, what's easy, what's difficult, you know, because that helps us create items and resources and find resources to share with you guys that make that sort of easier and clarify those difficult moments. Does that make sense? So if you're using Credo frequently in your class and you have any issues, or anything that you super duper love, or just any feedback in general, please do refer that to your embedded librarian. That way we can include that in the work, because you know, Melissa and I work on this a lot in 2 different groups even. I mean, we've got, you know, separate groups of librarians who are working to make this the best tool possible for all of us on campus.
I put a link in the chat. It looks like it's outside of like the administrative backend, and I think you can click on it and get to it, about adding an LTI link, Credo module link to a course, and down at the bottom is the information about the modules.
So Melissa may have asked this when I was having my internet outage before I got my hotspot up, but how do you guys plan on embedding this in your courses? I mean, are you guys already thinking about using this? I know some of you guys maybe use this in STEP or over the summer.
Yeah, Amanda told us about her experience in doing that.
Very good.
I think another instructor that used some of the modules was Walker Rudder Bowman, and reported that they worked. If that's another name that you could inquire of how the experience went.
Walker also taught a pre-college writing class for STEP. So I think we use a similar list of modules just
Oh,
because it
good,
worked
yeah.
well to teach what are scholarly sources and how do we use keywords, Boolean operators, and it was sort of like their homework for the library session. So it prepared them in the same way that we might assign the old set of tutorials. But the students really seem to like the interaction with the tutorials, the quizzes especially, which I didn't anticipate. Apparently, there is research that says students like being quizzed on this material, and it does help student retention, according to someone that I talked to in CTRL this morning. So can't hurt.
Wow, that's interesting information. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good to hear. Yeah. And this is great, you know, this is a great flipped classroom resource. Great. Chelsea asked you, Amanda, did you have this be a graded component or just for completion?
Completion. So it was more labor-based. Did you do the tutorials, and can you apply this information to your own library search?
And I think that is something that is pretty common with our embedded librarianship, is that we're not so often tied to a weighted or grade-based item, but it can be if you choose. Does anybody have any other questions, thoughts, or concerns about this? Happy to have you, Jeff. Have a good day. Melissa, anything else that you think that we need to share with them, Credo?
I don't think so, but we've enjoyed presenting it to you today, and I hope that it sparks some ideas for things you might do. And I would say bring it up with your librarian if you're interested, and see, how some of the modules could make sense for your information literacy learning objectives. Great.
Well, I'm getting some positive stuff in the chat about embedding it and so forth. Yep, excellent. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Melissa, for showing us how to embed.
Thank you, George.
And good luck with this semester, everyone.
Yay. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for attending.